Good morning, students. Today, we'll be seeing about smoking and periodontal disease. So in this PPT, we'll be seeing about what is tobacco smoking is, the ill effects of smoking on oral health, periodontal health, the effects of smoking on gingivitis, plaque bacteria, periodontitis, on host response, the effect of smoking on healing, the treatment response, and about smoking cessation. So let's go into the class. Tobacco smoking, it is a common addictive habit, with cigarettes being the main product smoked. We all know the prevalence is higher in the males compared to females. Tobacco it is a plant which is grown for its leaves, which are smoked, chewed, or sniffed for a variety of effects. It is considered an addictive substance because it contains a very harmful chemical, namely the nicotine. The tobacco smoking, the cigarettes, in addition to nicotine, they contain 19 cancer-causing chemicals collectively to put together to called as tar products, namely cadmium, butane, stearic acid, hexamine, acetic acid, methane, carbon monoxide, methanol, arsenic, toluidine, ammonia, etc. So these are all very harmful cancer-causing agents, collectively known as tar products, which are present apart from nicotine in the cigarettes. When a person is smoking, a nicotine is rapidly absorbed into the bloodstream, where 30% remains in its free form. It is highly lipid soluble and readily penetrates into the cell membranes. So when a person is smoking, the nicotine is rapidly absorbed in the lungs and it's got pronounced effects on the cardiovascular system, like it increases the heart rate, increases the cardiac output, increases the blood pressure by the autonomous stimulation. It also affects the peripheral vasoconstriction. That is, it causes vasoconstriction of the blood vessels. So there are different types of tobacco smoking. One smokes in the form of cigarettes, filtered or non-filtered, cigars, pipes, BDs, hookahs, active smoking, and massive smoking. How are the smokers classified? Smokers are classified as heavy smokers, light smokers, former smokers, current smokers. And heavy smokers, they are nothing but they are a smoker who smokes more than 20 cigarettes per day. And light smokers, the one who smokes less than 20 cigarettes per day. And former smokers are those who have been smoking for quite a longer period, but they've quit at least within the past 5 to 10 years. There's very important something called as the pack here. That is how do we calculate the effect of smoking from a person. It is calculated by multiplying the number of cigarettes smoked per day by a person by the number of the years the person has smoked. That is, if a person might smoke 5 cigarettes per day or 10 cigarettes per day or 1 packet or 2 packet, maybe 5 years or 10 years. So each pack is nothing but number of cigarettes smoked per day for how many number of years. That gives the package. So it is dose dependent. The more the cigarettes a person smokes, the more the deleterious effects. So we all know that smoking has a hazardous health risk, right? It causes numerous health risks. Basically, most important one is the cancers. Nowadays, it's increasing enormously. Cancers of the lung, mouth, kidney, pancreas, bladder, throat. So smoking is one of the main risk factor behind these cancers. Cardiovascular diseases like heart attacks, cerebral thrombosis, stroke, high blood pressure, coronary thrombosis. Most importantly, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, emphysema, bronchitis, rheumatoid arthritis, asthma, atherosclerosis, eye problems, reduced fertility, and most importantly, periodontal disease. Smoking and periodontal disease have a direct connection. The gums, everything get affected. So apart from that, smoking also causes a decreased ability to taste and smell, delayed wound healing. Pregnancy-related problems, including miscarriage, premature labor, low birth weight, risk for sudden infant death syndrome. So these are all the ill effects on the systemic health as well as the oral health of the smoking. So many studies have been conducted regardless of the gender, sex, and the effects of the smoking. So from the studies and the currents have stated that women ages from 20 to 39 and men aged from 30 to 59 who smoke cigarettes have twice the chance of having the periodontal disease compared to the non-smokers. And the effect of smoking on the periodontal status is more pronounced in the younger women compared to the older women. There is more stress, so they smoke a lot and they are more prone to the disease. And the studies have shown the effect of smoking on the morbidity rate also. 50% of the total cancer deaths is because of smoking. 84% of the lung cancer deaths, 30% of heart disease deaths, 23% of respiratory deaths, and 80% of bronchitis and emphysema deaths. So behind all these deaths, the main major risk factor is smoking. So when you see the picture, you see how a healthy periodontium and the tooth is, and how when a tooth is affected by a periodontal disease, the healthy periodontium, healthy bone is very, very important for a healthy periodontium and maintaining a good oral health. Plaque and calculus are the major root cause for all the gingivitis and periodontal disease. So when it is affected, when plaque and calculus is accumulated, if not treated, leads to gingivitis. If not it's not treated, leads to periodontitis, ultimately in the bone loss and the tooth loss. So that's what happens in a periodontal disease. Naturally, what happens in smokers? Smoke always elevates the gingivitis as well as periodontal disease. It aggravates the destruction of all those diseases. What is the effect of smoking on gingivitis? What is gingivitis? Gingivitis is nothing but inflammation of gingiva. And the first sign of gingivitis is bleeding on probing. So we marked a pronounced inflammation, erythema, and bleeding. But what happens in smokers with gingivitis? We don't see much bleeding, and we don't see pronounced the striking features of the gingivitis. Why is it? Because smoking, we all started before, we told the nicotine always produces vasoconstriction of the blood vessels. Naturally, when there is inflammation, what happens? There is vasodilatation of the blood vessels. So when we insert the probe, naturally that bleeds. But because the smokers, there is vasoconstriction of the blood vessels, there is not enough blood flow to the particular area, so there is less bleeding. And moreover, the smoking causes grayish discoloration, hyperkeratosis of the gingiva. That is why we don't see the edematous appearance. We see more of fibrotic appearance. So this is the effect of the smoking on the gingivitis. See, when you see the picture, even though it is smoker, doesn't look like the normal gingivitis as we see in the non-smokers. So what is the effect of smoking on the plaque bacteria? Naturally, plaque and calculus are the major risk factors for gingivitis and periodontitis. It is generally told that smokers, they have a poor oral hygiene. Indirectly, they don't keep their oral hygiene properly. So they harbor, what happens when it accumulates more, the smoking as well as the bacteria, when it accumulates more number of aggregating periodontal microorganisms, negative periodontal negative, gram-negative microorganisms like Aggregatibacter actinomycetum comitans, Porphyromonas intervalis, Stanella forsythia, Provatella intermedia, Fusobacter nucleatum, Campylobacter rectus, etc. All these are present in smokers in more numbers compared to the non-smokers. So generally, they harbor the palatal aspects of maxillary teeth and the upper and the lower incisor regions. So we saw the effect of smoking on gingivitis, the effect of smoking on the plaque bacteria. So what is the effect of smoking on periodontitis? Naturally, when gingivitis is left untreated, it leads to periodontitis. This smoking increases the prevalence and severity of the periodontal destruction. So we see more number of probing depths, more number of periodontal pockets, more attachment loss, more gingival recession, more furcation involvement, and more bone loss. So when the disease progresses, leads to ultimately the tooth loss. So many studies have shown the prevalence of moderate and severe periodontitis with the smoking as a risk factor. The current smokers showed at least 25% of more periodontitis. The former smokers, they showed 20%. Comparatively, the non-smokers, non-smokers with periodontitis, they have a lesser incidence. We saw about what is periodontitis. The major important thing, the effect of smoking on the host response. How does our body host response react to smoking? Whenever a foreign body enters, or when a foreign organism enters a body, naturally our own defense mechanism, they come to protect them. Mainly the neutrophils, the first line of defense. But this smoking exerts a major effect on the protective elements of the immune system. thereby causing an increase in the extent and severity of periodontal destruction. This smoking, it causes a down regulation of the immune response to the bacterial challenge. As I told, the neutrophil is an important component of the host response to bacterial infection. Any alteration in the neutrophil count or the function will naturally result in increased infections. The functions of neutrophil is like chemotaxis, getting to that particular area, phagocytosis, engulfing the bacteria, and killing the oxidative and non-oxidative mechanisms. Smoking causes functional alterations in chemotaxis, phagocytosis, and oxidative burst. So when all this is impaired, naturally, infection increases, does not fight. So it does not fight the bacterial challenge, and naturally the infection is increased more. The inflammation continues. Smoking also affects the specific immune response, that by it reduces the levels of salivary immunoglobulins IgA and IgG. Serum immunoglobulin IgG, G1, G2, G3, G4, especially IgG2 is very, very important antibody which plays a major role against periodontitis. This smoking suppresses the production of this antibody immunoglobulin IgG2, thereby inducing more periodontitis. Smoking also increases the pro-inflammatory cytokines like tumor necrosis factor alpha, neutrophil collagenase, etc. All these things in the gingival clavicular fluid. It also upregulates the monocytic release of this lipopolysaccharides, PGE2, naturally accelerating the periodontal tissue destruction. Whenever there is inflammation, we always see an increase in the gingival clavicular fluid and oxygen concentration, etc. So in smokers also, the gingival clavicular fluid increases. But the oxygen concentration in the gingiva appears to be less in the smokers compared to non-smokers. The subgingival temperature also is low in compared to the non-smokers. And the recovery from the vasoconstriction, which is caused by the local anesthetic administration, also takes a long time in the non-smokers. That is basically what is a major effect of the smoking on the host response. It down regulates the immune response to the bacterial challenge, thereby increasing the severity of the periodontal destruction. So put it in a nutshell. So this is what happens. Smoking, significant risk factor for periodontal disease, but it's an environmental and a modified risk factor. So what happens, like as you see here, see when a bacteria enters our body, naturally our own host response reacts to it. But because of smoking, there's an impaired immune response. Thereby, the neutrophil function is impaired, and what happens? The pro-inflammatory cytokines like tumor necrosis factor alpha, the collagenase like MMPs, PG2, all increases, causing an increase in the connective tissue destruction and increases the bone loss. Osteoblastic activity is suppressed, osteoclastic activity is increased, thereby leading to the progression of the disease. What is the effect of, now let us see what is the effect of smoking on healing and the treatment response. It doesn't mean that we cannot treat the patient. Actually, if a smoker or non-smoker, we have to treat the patients if they come with a complaint. So what is the effect of smoking on this healing and treatment response? Smoking, it's a very important cause. You know, it is supposed to be one of the, it shows impaired healing in orthopedic surgeries, plastic surgeries, in all aspects of periodontal treatment, including the surgical treatments like basic periodontal surgeries, regenerative therapy, implant surgeries, and non-surgical treatments also. Naturally, in mild cases, where this gingivitis alone, a normal scaling and a root planning will give a very good results. Gingiva returns back to its normal position. So it gives a very good results. But in smokers, even if it is gingivitis, what happens? The result is not as effective as non-smokers. Even after the scaling and root planning, if you place subgingival local drug delivery drugs like tetracycline fibers, minocycline gel, or chlorhexidine, all these things, compared to non-smokers, smokers continue to show less reduction in the pocket. And the response during any periodontal flap surgeries, regenerative therapies where you place more number of bone grafts, osseous surgeries, and all this response is comparatively less than the non-smokers, because the smokers, they showed a less gain in attachment, less reduction in probing depth, and less bone formation also. Why it is there is a impact healing? What, how does he explain it? Because we already told the nicotine is a major factor in causing this impact healing. The most important factor after any periodontal surgery, it inflammatory response which takes place in 24 hours. The fibrin clot, the clot formation is very important. This nicotine affects the microvasculature. Thereby, the fibroblasts don't migrate to the particular area, they don't proliferate and give collagen, thereby preventing the attachment to the root surface. The initial step itself is affected by the nicotine. That is why we always see an impact healing. We always advise the patients not to smoke before and after the treatment also for quite some time. Otherwise, whatever we do, it will be result in a failure. I showed us same thing, the smokers, when we do a surgery in smokers, they showed less reduction in pocket depth and less attachment levels and less bone gain also compared to the non-smokers. That is the effect of the smoking on healing and treatment response. So what is the association of smoking with the bone loss? Smoking, it has got a direct effect on the bone. It has been shown as an established risk factor in osteoporosis. That is, smoking is nicotine. It increases the osteoclastic activity. There is resorptive activities more, and it suppresses the osteoblastic activity. That is why we see more bone loss in patients with smokers compared to non-smokers. It also delays the healing of the bone in the fracture wounds. So what we saw is we have seen the effect of smoking on gingivitis, effect of smoking on plaque bacteria, periodontitis, effect on the host response, and effect of smoking on healing and treatment response, association of the smoking regarding the bone loss. So how do we improve the treatment part on the healing response in the smokers? As a dentist, we should always advise the patients to quit smoking. When the smokers quit, the periodontal health gradually recovers and response to treatment also comparatively improves. And it's not only is oral health, periodontal health, but it's also systemic health also improves a lot. So we should advise the patients to avoid the use of tobacco products. And you should always advise him and tell him about the harmful effects of smoking, what does it to the oral health, what does it to the dental health, and what are the positive effects if you quit smoking, and how can you improve the longevity of the life. So we all should advise the patients to quit smoking. So whenever a patient presents to us in a dental practice, first assess the patient, whether he's willing to quit, is cooperative, or he's not willing to cooperate. So if his patient is definitely willing to cooperate, so try to motivate him more, advise him or show him all the products, and please provide him all the necessary treatments and provide him appropriate counseling and the treatments. So how do we do it? We call as a 5 A's. The smoking cessation programs comes under the category of 5 A's. Ask the patient if he's willing to quit smoking. Then advise the patient, tell him about the harmful effects of smoking on the oral, periodontal, as well as systemic health, and tell him what is the positive effect when he quits smoking. Assess the patient's willingness to quit smoking. Assist as well as arrange whatever the cessation programs, make arrangements for him, assist him, provide some help. So ask, advise, assist, arrange, and refer him to some professional smoking cessation programs. That way he'll be benefited. And you can also prescribe him or tell him about the nicotine replacement therapies. What is that? The nicotine replacement therapies like nicotine patches, which is being kept on the skin, like a patches, they can place it on the arms, and nicotine nasal sprays, nicotine gums, nicotine tablets, all these are available in the market. So with the help of physician, patients can really take these things. They can really curb the the tendency towards smoking. So these nicotine replacement therapy might help him to help him to come out of his smoking. So this is all about the tobacco smoking. We saw the harmful effects of nicotine. What are the products, the tar products, what all it does to the health, oral systemic health, oral health, periodontal effects of smoking on what it does to gingiva, what it does to periodontium, what it does to the bone, and what happens even to our own natural immune response. Even if you do a treatment, what is the difference in a smoker and the non-smoker? So how to overcome that, and about the smoking cessation programs. So to conclude this, it's very clear that if a person is a smoker, he might present periodontitis at a very early age. So if it is smoking, the patient is smoking continues, it's very difficult to treat them with a conventional therapy. And smoking continues to have progression or recurrence of periodontitis, so it is there, which might lead to tooth loss. So as a dentist, we should be more active in assessing the patients and advise, educate, and motivate the patients to quit the smoking. And we should offer counseling and cessation services, which can positively impact both the dental and the overall health of the patients. Thank you all.